I'd like to call the 2024 Saddlebrook One annual meeting to order. And before I do that, anyone that is wearing a hearing aid, if you want to connect to the T-coil, please go just outside the Vermilion and sit at one of the tables. You will have better luck connecting to a T-coil there. You will not be able to connect to a T-coil in the Vermilion room. So let's go over our agenda today. We're going to call the meeting to order, and we'll have introductions. Then we'll have the president's report, the treasurer's report, the investment report, the general manager's report, and then we'll open the room up for questions from our homeowners. And then we'll have a brief adjournment, and we will go forward with our regular April meeting. So, here we go. I'm Joanne Ellison, and I'm the president of HOA One. I want to make introductions for the 2024 board members. Would you please raise your hand as I call your name? We have Tom Swakowski, our vice president, Steve Balakwa, our secretary, Don Taylor, our treasurer, Joe O'Connor, director, Kathleen Sartoris, director, Len Alcantara, director, and we have our ex officio directors, Marty O'Shea and Mike Odell. Now I'd like to introduce our 2024 committee chairs. So if you're a committee chair and you're present in the room, I would like you to raise your hand. Let's start with Mike Odell, Architectural and Landscaping. Charlotte James, Events. Tom Simister, Finance. Andy Timothy, Golf. Bill Clarkin, Investment Committee. Vivian Timian, 401k Investment Committee. John Labar, Property and Roads. Howard Cohn. Howard, I know you're there. There he is. Recreation, Health, and Wellness. John Alton. Rules, Compliance, and Covenants. Laverne Kairos. Unit Representatives. David Taylor, Search, and Donna Gruninger, Elections. There she is. Also, I want to introduce David Lohendorf. He is our 2024 Saddlebrook Public Affairs Commission chairperson. The Saddlebrook Public Affairs Commission is a joint HOA 1, HOA 2 entity whose mission is to gather information and monitor trends in the external environment, including residential and commercial property development, environmental issues, demographic changes, and governmental actions. Should we give a hand to our committee chairs? And our commission. Is everybody okay? I heard a thump. Let's start with the president's report. Moving on. First of all, I would like to review the Saddlebrook One mission and vision. The Saddlebrook One vision is to be the active adult community of choice in Arizona. And the Saddlebrook One mission is to provide active adults with a community that enriches their lives with updated amenities, clear and transparent rules and governance, timely responses to residents, fiscal responsibility, protection and enhancement of property values, and a strong sense of community. And I want to go over what we do as a board. Our primary function is to preserve and protect our collective assets. This is mandated by law. We are your fiduciaries, and we take this duty seriously. Your board and your committees are laser focused on that objective. And thanks to our talented management team, I am proud to say that we have and we will continue to meet our essential objectives. And I can't wait to show you what we have done and what our future plans will be for 2024. Let's start with the 2023 goals and objectives. In 2023, our board identified 3 goals and corollary objectives. Our first goal was to continue to maintain and improve the financial position of Saddlebrook One. And the objective, in order to achieve that goal, was to achieve favorable results to the 2023 budget. Well, how did we do? We met our goal, and you will hear more about that in the upcoming presentations. Our next goal, goal number 2, was to ensure that our replacement reserve fund and our capital improvement fund continue to be and are adequately funded. And the objective that we identified for last year was to approve an independent reserve study to be conducted by an outside vendor in 2023. How did we do on that goal? We met that goal, and we will be incorporating the information from that report in our future planning. The independent vendor performed a deep dive into our organization and confirmed that we are well funded. Our third goal for 2023 was to maintain and update our existing amenities in accordance with our 10-year planning projections. And we had 2 objectives to achieve that goal: to provide all necessary support to management for the Roadrunner Grill project to be completed in the fall of 2023, and to continue the planning for the renovation of the Recreation, Fitness, and Arts and Crafts facility. Well, how did we do? On the Roadrunner Grill, we met that goal. John Reed, Director of Operations, and his team made this difficult task look easy, and he got a lot of assistance from Don Aratola, who deserves special mention. And how did we do on our second goal? We met that goal. Our Saddlebrook One Property and Roads Committee identified and surveyed all the major users of the facility. Residents of both Saddlebrook One and Saddlebrook Two made significant contributions to the project. A scope of work was prepared, and in March of this year, an architect was engaged to prepare concept drawings so we can begin holding town meetings. The Recreation, Fitness, and Arts and Crafts facility was renamed for our project by the Property and Roads as a working name, the Creative Arts and Wellness Center. So we met that objective as well. Now, let's turn to 2024. In 2024, we're taking on 5 goals. Our first goal is going to be to continue to maintain and improve the financial position of Saddlebrook One. And we're going to do that by, again, achieving favorable results to the 2024 budget. Our second goal is to ensure that our replacement reserve fund and our capital improvement fund, will continue to be adequately funded. And to achieve that, we will continue to apply and develop our planning and management processes, including incorporating the 2024 reserve study. The 2024 Goal 3 is going to be to maintain and update our existing amenities in accordance with our 10-year projections, and our 2022 Goal 4 will be to continue to build a framework that will strengthen the bonds between Saddlebrook 1 and Saddlebrook 2. And what objectives are we going to identify to achieve those goals? We are going to continue planning for the renovation of the Creative Arts and Wellness Center, so we are ready to send the project out for bid in early 2025. Specifically, the board will develop architectural and plans and space plans, site plans and space plans to review with the residents in at least 2 town halls. We will submit approved site plans to Pinal County for its review and approval, and then we will complete construction drawings for the new project so that it can go out to bid. And then finally, our 2024 Goal 5 will be to keep Saddlebrook 1 moving forward toward achieving its vision and mission. And with respect to that, we are going to complete a 5-year plan with input from community and management. And we are well underway to achieve our 2024 goals. In conclusion, our primary function as a board is to preserve and protect our collective assets. We are your fiduciaries, and we take our duty very seriously. We will continue to be laser focused in 2024 on achieving our goals and objectives. And finally, our board does not micromanage. We provide oversight. It is through our talented management team that we have and will continue to meet our essential objectives. I said last year that our employees are our crown jewel. We are continuing to build and maintain a management team that will ensure a successful future for our organization. Thank you. And I will turn it over to our next speaker. Is that the
That's me.
Okay.
Thank you, Joanne.
No, isn't it Don?
No, Don asked to come after us.
Okay,
He wants to have us have a strong finish.
got it.
There we go. Okay. My name is Vivian Timmy, and I'm the general manager here at Saddlebrook 1. A lot of great things happened in 2023, but before I get to them, I just kind of want to tell you how Saddlebrook works, basically. The general manager, myself, reports directly to the board, and the standing committees and commissions also report directly to the board. And then I have a staff of people that report to me. So that's basically our function, so that we're all working at the board's request, basically. I've been very honored to have a great group of people that I work with. I'm going to start with Leslie Van Hoff, who is over here to the right. She's an executive assistant and is a great employee. Thank you for everything you do all year long, Leslie. And I don't know if Linda's in the house or not, but Linda Irwin is also an executive assistant, also helps us with a lot of communicator issues, as well as sending out a lot of emails to you folks. My patrol manager is Christopher Albers. He joined us a couple of years ago, has brought a different vision to our patrol group. Our IT director, Rich Sandoval, is over in Las Vegas right now. He is going to an AI convention, because that is the big thing in IT these days, and identifying how can that be used for us going forward in the future. Our webmaster is Jason, and he is back there at the controls. And then our newest addition is Kelly Evans, and she is our food and beverage director. Welcome, Kelly. Our controller, Mike Triber, is in the back as well, does a great job of keeping everything on track, making certain that we have money where we need it, when we need to spend it. Our Director of Operations is John Reed. He's done a great job over the past year. Our Director of Golf, Mike Roddy. We have probably an one of the best golf groups here in southern Arizona as a result of Mike and his team and all the work that they put into it. And then our HR generalist, I think he's in the back, that is John, and he helps us with all of our staffing and making sure that we're following all the correct employment rules. So that's how it works here at Saddlebrook. So without further ado, I talked to Mike, and I said, Mike, what are we going to do this year? Because we want to do something different. And he says, well, I want to talk about what sets us apart. And so we kind of grabbed a hold of that theme. What does set us apart? Well, we transitioned in 1999, and that means that we have been complete away from the developers for 25 years now. That's a long time. We are a private HOA. Golf, F&B, and amenities are closed to the public. We have 2,061 home sites. We are in a strong financial position, which we'll be covering later on in this presentation. We just completed the RRF study. Our cash flow is very positive. No issues with being able to make payroll and being able to get the things done that the residents are asking us to do every year. We do have strong resident support for improvements and maintenance, and that's really important here. We want to, and that's a big deal, because one of the things when I first took this job, a lot of I'm an engineer, I come from an engineering background, and a lot of my friends said, what are you going out there for? They don't have any money. And I said, but they want to fix everything, and they want to keep it in top condition. And they said, really? And I said, yeah, they're very, the residents are very involved in making sure that things are running properly. And of course, the experienced staff. We have a very, very experienced staff here at Saddlebrook. So that's what sets us apart from an operational standpoint. This is one of the slides that I like to present every year. Looks like it shows the labor costs, and it includes the payroll burden, which is also the PTO, as well as the medical and dental insurances, as well as workers' comp and all those taxes that we have to pay to the government as well. And in 2016, we were spending $4,440,000, or 53% of total expenses. In 2023, if we look at the numbers, we're up to $6 million. But we are at 56%, which is not a bad increase considering the fact that in 2017 was when Arizona decided to adjust the minimum wage. And we went from $8.05 an hour up to $12 over a period of time. So in 2017, that growth started coming at us. We actually went down as opposed to 2022 last year. You can see we're 56% versus 58% last year. That's because the expenses have gone up. The cost of fertilizer, the cost of soil, the cost of seed, but most definitely the cost of food. So that's all gone up in the last year, and so that's why our percentage as a result of our labor percentage has actually gone down. In administration, if we take a hard look at the administration area, we did hire an assistant controller. We brought in a consultant in August to talk about our club software and give us some training. He is coming back again in July this year. Kelly has already presented them with a grouping of questions and things that we would like to see out of the software that we have. And so he'll be back on site at the end of July. The focus on cybersecurity, this has been a big one. Rich has been working very diligently to get us 24/7 coverage. And we have a software called Mastergy software, and it'll actually tell you, I get alerts all the time that someone is trying to get into our system. And it monitors 24/7, and it also, so it socks it, and then it drops it, basically, is what he calls it. So you've notified you that they're trying to get in, and they don't let it in. It's been a big improvement on our cybersecurity, as well as he introduced a software plan to our employees called KnowBe4. And it really goes after phishing software. And I think that if any of you have ever been roped in, it's really easy to get roped into a phishing email where somebody says, oh, by the way, can you move this money over here because we really need money from this area? Or if somebody is calling and asking for cards or gift cards or anything like that, that's really helped us. When he started the program, we had a 60% of our employees were going after the phishing stuff, and they were falling for it all. And I believe that number is now less than 10%. So it's been a big training process for our employees, because that's how most hackers get in. It's through the employees. It's through our systems. We also completed the Comcast installation throughout Saddlebrook 1, but I will tell you that we are still dealing with Comcast. We have major problems in Unit 21 with concrete. We're not happy with any of the concrete work they've done. We've asked them to bring in another vendor. We've actually offered to use our vendor and they can reimburse us, or they can pay the vendor directly. And we also have a problem with driveways. A lot of the driveways that they did, as long as they weren't coated, they did fine job. The problem was when they went in and coated it, the coatings aren't holding. So we're going back and we're asking some of the residents to go ahead and get bids from outside companies, and then we'll approach Comcast to pay for those bids and get the other professionals in here to finish up the driveways. So a lot of issues just still hanging out there with Comcast. I hope to have this resolved by summertime, by June, but we'll see what happens. In 2023, we spent $1.7 million. In 2022, we spent $1.6. The big increase here was we did a $40,000 replacement reserve study that was requested, and that came out very, very well. The independent study said that basically we had plenty of money in our reserves right now, but they did adjust the fundings from 5 years out to 30 years out, because it's a 30-year plan. So basically for the next 5 years, we'll still be on the same plan that we had indicated earlier. In terms of amenities, this is basically, and these are numbers directly from the audit, and they're showing how much money we spend yearly, and this actually includes the depreciation on it. So the activity center, we spent $28,592. Depreciation on this is probably around $25,000, just to give you an idea. So depreciation runs heavy. We changed out the carpet earlier. We do some adjustments to the activity center. That all goes into the depreciation. Arts and crafts was $39,570. A little bit of an increase, not really that much. Again, a big depreciation number. The clubhouse went up, and basically that, we're having a problem with natural gas, and I think everybody in the room can probably understand that, because I think everybody's natural gas bill went up. And the pool, definitely, that's where the natural gas really hit us. We were up from 147 up to 182. And tennis at 92,000 versus 85. Again, that tennis number is basically almost, it's about $85,000 that is depreciation on that. So when we take a look at it, we were 928 for 2023, 849 for 2022. Then we take a look at services. The common area and roads, this is, you're seeing 1.2 million here versus 905, and that's basically because Comcast delayed a lot of work in 2022. We were unable to do it. We came back like gangbusters in 2023 and got a lot of the work done. So a lot of improvements in the roads. The fitness center, 206 versus 183. We added a weekend person to the fitness center. That was seen as a safety issue that we needed to do, have a little bit more oversight there. So we did bring in another coordinator to work with the people on the weekends. On maintenance, 828,000 versus 777. And a lot of this has to do with the buildings are getting older. We're doing a lot of the work in-house. So we are seeing that increase in maintenance. Patrol actually went down. And the reason for that is because we used to have a safety officer that was in patrol. That position's actually moved up into maintenance. So that's part of that increase in maintenance as well. So as you can see, 2.6 versus 2.2, but at least 300,000 of it, a little bit more, almost 400,000 of it was associated with the road work that was done in 2023. That's a big increase. So then let's take a look at the next one. A look ahead at the rest of 2024 and beyond. We have a challenge to maintain a high level of service and contain overall costs. We completed the reserve study in March of 2024. We are using staff input to identify efficiencies, hire when we need to give support and flexibility to our areas. We've adjusted the front office hours accordingly, and we're taking a little bit of a savings there, but we've also increased the costs in accounting, but I think a needed increase because basically there's a lot of investments to watch and there's a lot of work that needs to be done on an extremely timely basis. Our finance committee likes to see everything completed early, and everybody wants to take a look at those monthly numbers as soon as they possibly can. And we're going to continue to cross-train across different departments to provide a flexible workforce. This really hit home during COVID in 2020. We had F&B going outside and doing some work with the landscaping crews. We had some landscapers come in and they help with the decorations at Christmas time. We really need the flexibility in our workforce, and we've really asked our workers to just, you're here for a given period of time, you're paid by the hour, this is what we need you to do, and that's been met with a great deal of agreement, and they have no problem. In fact, they kind of like it because they get a chance to do something different during the day. The next slide is the major projects. We're going to incorporate the replacement reserve study into the 10-year plan. As I said, for the first 5 years, we're going to use the numbers that were there in our plan from last year, but then we'll adjust the numbers up slightly to cover the replacement reserve funding that the third party thought that we needed. We did a disaster recovery project for IT systems. That was actually completed in February, and what that is basically it backs up everything to the cloud. And so that if for some reason we lose our server, he can bring us back online probably within an hour. So we've got a much better, much more robust disaster recovery system. This afternoon, we're going to be asking for a road resurfacing project on Ridgeview Section 1, and that is from Saddlebrook Boulevard to Via del Oro, which is just right before you get to the Catalina Recreation Center. So we're going to be asking for funds to resurface that roadway. We do have a drainage project in common area next to Catalina number 1. Last year the pipes were actually blown out of the ground, and they're 3-foot pipes or 30-inch pipes. 30-inch, right? 36-inch, I was right the first time. 3-foot pipes, and the force of the water hit it so hard that they literally blew out of the ground. So what we are doing is we're going to a different, we've been working with an engineering firm. We're going to be bringing them in to take then they came in and designed the project for us, and I believe that project starts around May 1st, right?
Correct.
Great, this week. That's May 1st, Wednesday, yeah. And we did finish the drainage portion of the project that is just north of Catalina Hills, which is in Unit 6. And there's this drainage area there. The gunite was completely damaged, and we had the same company come in and repair all the damage to the gunite and get that straightened out before the monsoon seasons. What we're trying to do, obviously, with these two projects is get them done before the monsoons hit in July or June. The entry work to Saddlebrook Boulevard in Ridgeview. You can see that work going on right now. We're putting some rock work on the slope along with the logo, along with 3 planters, and then the plants will be installed. That is a joint project between Properties and Roads and our staff, as well as the outside company that designed it, which was Horticulture Unlimited. And they came up with the design, and our people, our in-house staff, did all the irrigation work, all the lighting work, all the electrical work, and then the planters were done by an outside company, and then a second outside company coming in to do the rock work. So we're hoping to have that done by hopefully this Friday. And develop construction drawings for the Creative Arts and Wellness Center. Last month, the board approved $103,000 for us to go out and hire an architectural firm to come out with, and she said it before, but I'll say it again, the site plan and then also the renderings. So we want to take those renderings, we will take them out to the residents. This is what the building will look like, and we'll give you an overview of exactly what the spaces will be used for. It's a huge increase in space. It's about 7,000 square feet. And so we want to get more aerobic area and dancing area, and we also want to have more area for the arts and crafts, and also for some other areas that haven't been recognized in the past, some digital arts and crafts, some radio club. We've got a lot of things that are going on. We're really excited about this project, so we'll take that to the residents, and we'll be showing you that, and at the same time we'll be going back up to the county and showing them a preliminary site plan so that we can get approval on a parking variance. We have a parking variance now, and what this will do is just reinforce the parking variance that we've got. So a lot of exciting things going on in administration and operations, and I'm going to turn it over to Mike Roddy right now, who's going to talk all about the wonderful things that are going on in golf. There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. I'm Mike Roddy, your Director of Golf and Grounds. here at Saddlebrook One. And I would like to start by talking about what sets us apart when we talk about our golf operation here. One thing that doesn't get mentioned very often is that we are the only true private HOA golf facility in the area. When you look at our golf courses that we are often compared to, HOA2, the Views, the Highlands at Dove Mountain, Saddlebrook Ranch, they are all open to the public with public golf. And the Views and the Highlands actually sell memberships to anyone. You can live in Tucson or Oro Valley and buy memberships at those facilities. So I think that's one major way that we set ourselves apart from those other HOAs. Continuous improvement. The community is committed to improving the golf experience annually. We're not standing still. Continue to grow the game. Rounds have continued to show growth. Lessons and clinics are well intended and bringing new golfers to the game on a daily basis. The golf courses are managed for year-round playability. Proactive cultural practices continue to improve course conditioning even with the high round volumes that we see every year. And the last one, working with Kelly to my left here and her team, unique and fun events throughout the year. Our seasonal events are well attended, and we work together with the food and beverage department to have a cohesive and creative event from the courses all the way inside to the dining venues. Those are the ways that our golf operation is set apart.
Is it not working?
There we go.
There we go.
All right, so we look at our rounds played. There are abnormal years in there. Weather obviously always plays a role in when you're talking about golf course access and rounds. You also had COVID, so there's a little spike there during the COVID years. But overall, if you look back, showing from 2011 to today, we have a nice rise in our participation levels on the golf courses here at Saddlebrook One. Annual membership. This is another area where we've continued to show some growth every year. We currently sit at 458 annual members for the 2024 golf season. Revenue impacts. Our prices have gone up because they've had to. You've heard already conversation about expenses rising, so that revenue has had to go up with that. The continued participation and increased participation helps us in that. And that second graph shows the net cash positive impact of golf. Last year alone, golf brought in over $400,000 cash to the HOA. There we go. We look ahead at the rest of 2024 and beyond. Challenge, maintain increased use and interest in the experience. Number one, keep golfers engaged. New, fun, and exciting events. Master, Superintendent Revenge, couples, food and beverage. Those are examples of how we're going to do that. Continue adding to the golf population. Existing and new residents, clinics, golf and fitness, teaching technologies are all part of that equation. The course experience. Continue to address playability issues, maintain a positive playing experience with course design and conditioning improvements. We'll be making some minor modifications to the Tucson golf course this summer. Provide balance, new ideas versus traditions and expectations. So we need to balance those things as we move forward and plan for the future. Our major projects in golf in 2024, I mentioned the Tucson 9 course improvements. We've been working with Mike Gogol on minor course improvements to benefit both playability and maintenance, so that those will be happening over the next 3 or 4 months. Continue the bunker sand replacements. We started that last year. That will continue on the Saddlebrook course, and we'll start incorporating the replacement of bunker sand on Catalina this summer as well. And number 3, finalizing golf shop interior update. We have that beautiful new grill next door to the golf shop. So that's made the golf shop look a little behind the times. So we'd like to take an opportunity to modernize And we're going to develop, price, and present a plan to refresh the golf shop interior to the board of directors, hopefully in October of this year, with the project being conducted in 2025.
Okay, Kelly, I'll take it when we start talking about 2023, but you could start about what sets us apart.
Awesome. Yes. So what sets us apart for food and beverage? We are a private club, so our customer base does not change. We get to see all of you lovely people all throughout the week. Our menu and service style creativity. So between chef's table around the world, grillin' and chillin', Monday and Tuesday specials downstairs, we have a lot of flexibility in the weekly, monthly, and seasonal menus. The connections with local vendors in this area has allowed for lower cost for our inventory, which directly relates back to lower cost to the residents. So, for example, what we charge for a shot of Tito's here is $2 cheaper than the Preserve in HOA2 due to our relationship with the vendors. And then we have a positive kitchen environment. If you've worked in the restaurant industry, having a closed kitchen where the chefs are able to just interact with each other without view from our guests, for them to be very positive to the front of house, supportive of each other, is very rare in the restaurant industry. And we have a very welcoming environment for new chefs who are coming in.
Okay. So I told Kelly I would go ahead and take care of everything that happened in 2023 because she wasn't here. And so I have 2019 all the way through 2023 listed there. And I think the one thing that really showed is the fact that we were doing really well until we shut down in May for the work. And then you could see our revenue drop significantly, and it continued to drop significantly throughout the operational times. But on November 7th, when we opened, you folks made us highly, highly positive in November and December. As a matter of fact, last month we brought in $82,000 in the Roadrunner Grill, which is phenomenal. It's a great dollar figure. We lost, during these months, we lost around $30,000 a month. Because people, and they didn't understand it. They said, well, I don't understand. Why don't the golfers just come up here? Well, first of all, you got to park down there, and then you got to walk around, or you can park out front, and then you got to make that long walk in here, and you're not really in a golfing kind of environment. And golfers want a golfing environment. They want some place where they can lay down all their bets and settle everything, and make sure that everything's okay. I think that's right. Isn't that right, Steve? Yeah. Anyway, so you know, we are finished with this right now, and I think it was a strong finish to the end of the year, but that 6 months that we were down, it really did, we took a lot of losses on that, and we did not, we kept everybody employed during that time. We didn't want to let anybody go as a result of the shutdown. Challenges were the shutdown of the Roadrunner Grill for 7 months. We brought breakfast and lunch, as I said, up to the upper levels. We moved banquets and events to the Agave, and that was really interesting because you'd have people eating here and then you'd have a meeting over there, and it was kind of, people were very good about it. They were very good about working with each other. And again, we kept the employees working. We had higher labor rates during that entire 7 months as a result of keeping all the employees on staff. I believe we made the right decision. We wanted to show the employees that we were behind them 100%. We just wanted to open successfully when we did open. And the bottom line performance, you can see that we dropped down quite a bit. 2022, we had a subsidy of $211. 2023, it was $385. And again, that was due to that shutdown. Or if we hadn't shut down, I would say that number would probably be well over $3 million. And that would have been a great year for us. But this year's going to be a good year. Right now, if we continue on, I did some rough math the other day. We're looking at around $250,000 subsidy, and I think we were budgeted for like $350. So things are going well. There, I set the bar for you, Kelly. Yeah, thanks. So let's hear what Kelly's got to say about the rest of 2024.
Yeah, so for the rest of 2024 and beyond, our challenge is creating consistent food and beverage service hours. That's really our main goal, is to have that consistency for all of you when you want to come in and dine with us. The way that we're going to do that, so working on hiring, training, and retaining new employees. So looking at our training program and our turnover rate, and how do we entice people in and get them to stay for a long time. We are working on marketing our chef team to not only the community, but also to the public. So up and coming chefs who want to come and learn from Chef Dylan or sous chef Izzy or Billy, getting their information out there so that this is really a dining experience that they can learn from and create a career out of. We're also looking at how we can overcome transportation issues into Saddlebrook. So with the county lines and the way that public transportation works, a lot of people in the food and beverage industry take public transportation. So we're just looking at how we can combat that. In the past, we've used gas cards, we've done carpooling, so just looking for more creative ways to get people out here. Our 2024 major food and beverage projects, we're looking at an expanded dining space in the Vistas, so adding some more tables to the dining space out there so that we can get more guests in our building. Expanding the front of house management team. We just promoted Josh Cornwell. He's a new team member here, bartender, server, and expediter for us, but previous to that, he has 10 years of restaurant management experience, and he was a general manager that helped run 4 restaurants in the California area. So we're very excited to have somebody who was most recently in an hourly role who can help us tailor our training program and also take his expertise and really round out our team. The goal there is to make sure that we always have management presence, whether it's a banquet, the Roadrunner Grill, or nighttime here in the Vistas, there will always be a manager on duty. We're also looking into deep diving our technology improvements. So Vivian spoke about bringing the specialist for our point of sale system in July. We're also looking at more technology for training, more technology for our banquet coordination, so just to streamline everything and have access to all of that information. In the kitchen, we're looking at upstairs adding a steam table for our banquets. So a steam table helps hold food hot and will allow the kitchen to not have to rearrange their kitchen line when we're doing bigger banquet events and plated events. So it will greatly improve the quality of food that we're able to put out on those nights. And then we're also looking at a dishwashing station renovation for up here. The dishwashing station right now is very tight. You can fit one person in there. And efficiency-wise, getting clean silverware, clean plates out, and saute pans to the line, there's just some issues there that do slow down service. So that will greatly benefit food and beverage.
Thank you. I asked Vivian and her staff to go ahead of me because they very eloquently explained the business for the year. The financials follow along to represent what happened. Okay. The planning and budget process takes a long period of time. A whole lot of time goes into the 10-year plan and the budgeting, and these are some of our assumptions we used for last year and this year. We try and do inflation numbers that are conservative, because if inflation is greater than we plan, we'll be in financial difficulties. If our assumptions are better than inflation, we have a conservative plan for spending. As in the past, Comcast had a major impact on what we could do for roads. Last year, we did a pretty good amount of catch-up. We don't adjust budgets during the year for projects not completed, so this just explains the effects of leaving out projects. Okay. This is basically the same slide as last year. Not much has changed. We still have the same issues. The one thing I do want to emphasize is on the last item, the clean opinion. In addition to the clean opinion, there is no management letter. A management letter is a constructive criticism of a client's accounting procedures and practices. It is the other deliverable work from an audit. Firms strive to find constructive criticisms and comments. So the lack of a management letter demonstrates we are following our procedures and policies. So in this case, no news is definitely good news. These are similar challenges as last year. The supply chain delays is particularly in golf, where we've ordered things over a year and a half ago, and we haven't received them yet.
2 years.
2 years, okay. And the minimum wage legislation Vivian's talked about, and this is an ongoing issue. Okay. Homeowners dues. Many people refer to this as homeowners dues. The official name is community service fee, also known as CSF. This chart shows the last 10 years, which in the next upcoming 2 years, which is from our 10-year financial plan. In the past, the CSF increases have been held below the rate of inflation throughout most of this period. Saddlebrook was founded in 1986, so many of our facilities and amenities are aging. We need to upgrade, not just maintain our facilities. We try and keep the CSS as low as possible, but it will not be possible to continue to increase our CSF below the inflation rate in the future. Expect modest increases in coming years. Our CSF for this year is $2,800. For just as a basis of comparison, our neighbors in HOA 2, their CSF this year is $3,600, which is $800 higher. And theirs will not be going down in the future. Okay. This is the sources of cash. The big bulk of it is the CSF. Home resales were below expectations in 2023. We really have no control over that. Golf provides positive cash, and other is primarily interest income. And Bill Clarkin will have more to say on this shortly. This is cash basis for expenses. Why do we focus on cash without depreciation? In managerial accounting, we look at cash flow because that's what our managers can control. And this is a breakdown by amenity and by services of how much we spend per household. The food and beverage net cash outflow is $316,000, which is $154 per household. Oops, I'll back up again. A large portion of the reserve funding was for the Roadrunner Grill renovation, which is about $1.7 million, and renovation of roads, which is another $400,000. CIF spending. Total capital spending for 2023 was $1,082,000, which is $525 per household. CIF spending varies a lot from year to year. 2023 was a very active year with the Roadrunner project. 2024 will be quite quiet. Replacement reserve fund. Total spending for this year was $1,919,000, which is $931 per household. Much of the services category is road renovation. Okay. With the completion of the Roadrunner Grill project, the next major reserve fund spending should be the new community building, which is in future years. So at this point, 2024 will be a pretty quiet year when it comes to spending in both CIF and RRF. Okay. I added these next two slides because I hear a lot of misinformation about subsidies for food and beverage and golf. So I've added some facts for public record. I presented actual numbers for the past 3 years and the 2024 budget forecast. While golf has an operating profit, While golf has an operating profit, which is golf fees less labor and materials to operate and maintain the courses, and is a source of operating cash, it has substantial annual replacement reserve expenditures for equipment and course components. This results in significant depreciation expense. Subsidies have remained consistent over the past 3 years. 2024 subsidy will probably be lower than projected because annual and preferred memberships sold to date are better than planned. Golf gets most of their revenue up front. And so we know already we're going to be better than expected on revenue. For those who wish to discount depreciation as a non-cash expense, which I hear a lot, I'm showing an alternative cash-only perspective. In the case of golf, subsidy numbers are about the same. 2023 is kind of an aberration that since we didn't receive the equipment we ordered, we did not spend much money on, but that will be taken care of hopefully in the future. Okay, food and beverage. Our auditors have many Arizona HOAs as clients. When they met with the finance committee, I asked them how many HOAs, food and beverage operations, make a profit. Their response was none. So we're not unique in this. Our subsidies are pretty small, as they are for golf. But the Roadrunner was closed for 7 months last year, so that adversely affected 2023. Food and beverage has few capital expenditures most years, so the alternative cash perspective is not representative of subsidies. With a new Roadrunner kitchen, expanded seating outside, and a new director, this should be an exciting year for food and beverage. Roads were not capitalized because we do not build them or pay for ropes and for them. Therefore, they are not part of the $30 million in assets. However, we must maintain them. So replacement costs for that are around $10 million. Realistically, we have an additional $10 million of assets to maintain, which brings the total to $40 million. Your HOA 1 is well managed and in strong financial health. This was a very good year. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. My name is Bill Clarkin, and I'm chair of the investment committee. I'd first like to thank my wife, who puts up with all of my petitionings in the morning about how the markets are doing, et cetera. And I'd also like to thank a significant asset of our group, Leslie, who puts up with my questions, et cetera, and keeps me well organized. Joanne, I appreciate your support. She shows up for virtually every meeting, and I appreciate that very much. The committee is pretty much the same as it's been we've been doing this for 10 years now. It's pretty much the same as it's been for 10 years. The committee is somewhat broken into what I'll call the investment side and the accounting or the operations side. In terms of what we do, Vivian has been just a terrific asset in the organization. Mike Treiber, who has to put up with me and ask him how we're doing and whether or not we've placed money, just does a fabulous job in terms of maintaining the books and helping me out to get the information that I need. In addition, he was a significant contributor when it came to when we had COVID and we used an investment called Cedars, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. Finally, Don Taylor has joined the group, and he has made a nice contribution as well. And he took Marty O'Shea's place, who did a fantastic job and made a significant contribution, which I'll get into in a few minutes. This year, well, first of all, the guidelines and the rules are all defined by the CC&Rs. So I'm required to, or our committee is required to follow that. We have zero problem with the direction of the CC&Rs and what we do. We work within those guidelines. And our goal is, like any investment firm, to try and maximize our return within those guidelines. Now, in doing that, we have to strictly stay to government-guaranteed securities, which means staying under $250,000 in CDs, because that's the guaranteed amount, or investing in treasuries, which have the full faith of the U.S. government. So we do stay that way. And when we started this project, we've now been doing it 10 years. I'd like to say I have the gray hair to prove it, but I've had gray hair since I was 40. So we were getting we earned about $7,000. As you'll see a little later, we've made a significant improvement over that. In terms of our objectives or what we're trying to do, again, they're all defined by the CC&Rs. Our account is not that unusual. I actually ran what we called a pre-retirement fund at Motorola, which had very similar objectives to this. That fund was supposed to be strictly investments less than 3 years in the particular fund. Now, this is a little different than what I've done in the past. I want to talk about the transition in various periods over the past 10 years. In the early days, we were laying the groundwork. We had to get comfortable with how we were going to look at the cash flow. We were fine-tuning the formats, et cetera. Initially, we said, let's use a laddered portfolio. And by a laddered portfolio, that means we match the cash flow need in each of the 3 accounts to the investment maturities. As we rolled through that and into the second period, that was characterized by extremely low rates. We were getting more and more clarity on monthly cash flow. Vivian will tell you that we argue every month about how much we should drain it down to each month. Our committee might be a little bit juxtaposed to them sometimes because we're trying to use and invest as much cash as we possibly can during a particular month. Period 3 was characterized with higher rates, and then we were allowed then to extend some of the maturities because we were getting better rates. 2020 hit, COVID. Need I say more? That was a very challenging period of time, and as you will see, rates dropped precipitously during 2020. Period 5, the most recent period we've been in, has been characterized by rising inflation. We have a healthy balance sheet, but we've had to manipulate things, and there have been a lot of what I'll call arguments within the committee as to exactly how much we should extend and exactly how we should do it. So, to look at this, on the right-hand side is kind of the approach we took. Early on, we were working with trying to understand the investments and the accounting and how that should be put together. I talked about the laddered portfolio. The investment strategy in the second period of time, we saw increasing economic activity within the economy, and the board enacted a policy to allow for management. Prior to that period of time, we had been hardwired as to when we were going to move the money from the operating accounts into the reserve accounts, the so-called RRF and CIF. Working with Marty O'Shea, he took that, we got convinced ourselves that as long as we maintained the amount of money that the board had approved to transfer, it didn't make any difference in what month it took place. Marty took that to the board, and he deserves plaudits for that change that we made, because it has made a very big difference in our ability to leverage return. So that's very important. Prior to 2020, we were starting to extend the investments. Interest rates were starting to go up. We were able to, kind of the generic term we use, is we were able to lay off some of the money into a little longer periods of time. Now, the term that is used is a normal yield curve, is interest rates in the early periods are lower, and interest rates in the higher periods are, in the longer periods, or the greater maturities, are higher in rate. That would be called a normal yield curve. When COVID hit, we had what we call now an inverted yield curve. That is, short rates are higher than long rates. Now, when I showed that each of the three of us earned our CFAs in the during the 80s or late 70s, each of us cut our teeth in that period of time on the fixed income and the investment markets. All of us learned about higher rates and persistent inflation. So we're all been influenced by that. And probably everybody in this room remembers 10 and 12% mortgage rates. That was the period of time we all learned the investment business. Now, just to summarize a little bit about where we were, when we started this in 2013, the rates of return were only in the 0.2%. That's 20 basis points in the one-year maturities. As I told you, as 2017 came along, we were able to extend some of these investments. Now, this blue line that I've put here is approximately 3 to 4 years. That is actually about the furthest that we can go out, because that's the greatest insight that we have to make sure that we are properly matching maturities with Vivian's needs and the needs of the community. Just to give you an idea of what happened, in 2017, we had rates around 1%. The Treasury rates got all the way up to about 2.6, 2.7%, and then COVID hit, and they almost instantly dropped. That's not 2%, that's 20 basis points. That's 0.2% that they dropped to. Now, the challenge was to try and come up with better rates of return. Again, hats off to Mike Treiber, because what Mike did was he had a relationship with CIT, and they were offering a product called Cedars, and we used Cedars during that particular period of time. Now, Craig and I had to spend about a week or two vetting the product to make sure that it complied with our guidelines. We convinced ourselves that it did. It was a little bit tricky in that we had to do it in what's called tranches. We had to do 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, and a one-year piece. We were locked into those maturities, but we were getting 90 basis points at the outset. I think it was at 90, wasn't it, Mike? 95? Yeah. So we were getting well above what market rates were. Now, we were convinced that our guidelines were being properly followed. They were giving us that rate. I have a feeling that CIT was running what we call a little bit of a mismatched book, but as long as we were guaranteed that ours would match the securities, we didn't care if they were going to give us those rates. So we shifted to that for a period of time. Now, that meant that we had quite a bit of investments in these particular maturities that I'm talking about. And what we decided to do is, when we got into the 2021 period of time into the 2022, inflation was rising and we were back to the future, 1980s all over again. Nobody on our committee believed that interest rates and inflation was going to quickly collapse. So we started to unwind the cedars as we rolled into 2022 and 23. And remember, the curve was still inverted. This fund won't last forever when our sweet spot is in those shorter term maturities. To give you an idea, in the period of time from 21 early, we allowed the cash balances to rise significantly. At 75%, that means that we were almost fully cash. This represents the investable assets. As things started to roll through, we got to 3Q of 22 and 4Q. We started working down the cash. We had to unwind the CDARS, and right here in this late 22 period, we were getting 4.7% in 1-year treasuries. And that we started unwinding that, and we are now what I would call fully invested. We're down to about 20%, 15 to 20%, and Vivian needs that much cash on a daily basis to maintain the payment maintain the payment of various bills, et cetera. How did we do for the year? We did pretty okay. What we did was we started this and we were earning about $7,000 per year in 2012. Last year, we earned almost $371,000, and probably about 70% of our assets are earning in excess of 4.5% right now, maybe even a little bit more. I don't know that we will do 371 again this year, but I think we're going to do pretty well again this year. So, and that is how we did last year. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
There you go, Jan.
We're getting close to the end of our meeting. I want to leave you with some thoughts. Your HOA is in great shape financially and is being well cared for by the board and management. I hope we demonstrated that to you today. The board and committees do not micromanage. We let management do its job. We have continuity and leadership on both the board and in management and on committees from year to year that allows us to take on long-term planning and projects. We are achieving our mission and vision and will continue to work to build on past accomplishments and improve in all areas. And I want to leave you with this final thought, and I think we demonstrated that today. Community begins with each of us. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Any questions?
Going to open up the meeting to homeowner questions and comments. Please come to the microphone, state your first and last name, unit and lot number, and please keep it to 2 minutes per homeowner. Okay, I guess, thank you again.